into the first map here of week 4 of EGFC. I'm excited. Let's see what these guys got going on. And it's the high-level strategies that we're seeing employed right now, Viking. Big knife strategies, as we're seeing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great to see the sportsmanship of just, hanging out with some of your boys, just seeing what happens. We do have it set up in this league where those that choose the map, the team that does not choose the map chooses sides. So knife round's a little bit more of an opportunity to, get us all ready to go and see where the betrayal comes in as we start to see Villanova doing that as we get into this first pistol round.
Okay, and Iona, Villanova. Let's see what we're going to do into this first round. Villanova being over on the T side, not making any buys just yet. Okay, all right, a few pistols and a minor amount of utility, more opting for that armor.
A little bit of a typical strategy there, and it looks like they're just gonna, Iona is just going straight up mid, and they're gonna go underpass. They're doing like a reverse around the world, it looks like. So it seems to have confused Nova just enough to get them to make some weird choices as to how that's all being played out. And they're going back to what is going on.
I'm a big fan of this play so far, Viking. I'm a big fan. What is going to happen now? They're going to take a look down on mid. It's going to be internet to open things up by taking out Red Wolf. Juan will take a few hits, but nothing too serious on the side of Villanova. And they're running through the tunnel again. What are these guys doing?
This definitely reminds me of my 1.6 days of just like do something weird and hope that you get the picks. Unfortunately, they're running into internet on Cat, who generally has been one of the impact players for Nova week over week, and very proficient with the USP, and obviously picking off one of the Iona players as they run through, losing the other one through connector. Now they come out to A. We'll see how Nova is there. They do have 2 players on site. Are they going to be ready for this? Hard to say. Yes, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes, and they're trying to get some shots out, but nothing is going to work here for Iona. Can't even make it to get the bomb on site. Not even planted, just in that position, in the area. They can't even get on.
I'm going to give them credit for creativity there. That's definitely not something I would have expected for an opening move out of a T-side team on this map, but it obviously didn't work out in any of the KPIs that we look at there. They didn't get the bomb down. They didn't get any picks, so this is going to be a very clean round for Nova to come back. Obviously, like you see the FAMAS and the MP9s ready to deal with this aggression onto the B site.
Wanye taking a bit of jump peeks to try and see if anyone is coming through apartments, and they all are running through. Will be Wanye to get that first pick, follows up with a second, but Savannah wants to get some revenge, and he manages to. The Tubby Muffin out on the side is cutting them down while they do manage to get onto site. They can't get much further, only picking up 1 frag onto Kwanye. Villanova taking out an easy second round for themselves.
Kind of expected, I think, kind of based on the way we saw things go. I have noticed that we've seen a lot more dualies in this league than I would have anticipated, and surprisingly proficient with those as well. But as we get into round 3, the terrorist side with limited utility have opted to go for the AKs, and obviously a little bit slower, but still more of the team up effort as they all stack towards the A site. And Nova kind of seems to sniff that out a little bit as they've got 3 players looking towards the Palace and A ramp.
Well, at this point, Iona is quite unpredictable in their maneuvers, and they established that so in the first round with the multi-world traveling move, but Red Wolf can open this one up, taking out Sci-Fi Crab, and some smokes are there to cut off the vision of Villanova. Flashbang goes through that smoke into jungle to try and get anyone out of position, but running through was almost a team fire, but Tubby Muffin hanging out in connector will pick up 2. Pressure him as well, bringing this down to just Connor, who will fall just like his comrades. Internet with a nice 3K out on that AUG.
I feel like Iona came into the map with the strategy of, hey, we're going to try this sort of around the world, around and around we go, try to, throw Nova off of their game. And obviously that didn't work. It didn't really give them much of an opportunity to do damage in the way that they hoped to. And even still, I'm sure they're hoping to try to get some of that mental off-kilter elements of it. But it seems just like based on how that last round went, that Iona's kind of in that position where they tried it, it didn't work. They're kind of in this position where they have to reset. And so these last 2 rounds have really been more about resettling, as obviously the AKs didn't work out so much in their favor as they hit that A site. But I do like the fact that they're keeping the team together. They're really thinking about density in terms of attack on site. And now that they're spotted into B site, we're going to see if they decide to smoke it and go through, or if they're going to go back.
See, they're going with the strategy that if we don't know what we're doing, neither will they. But Villanova is still just holding on with those default angles. Internet is waiting for that rotation. He knows they're going to go through there with the AK. This is going to be a free multi-frag opportunity if it works out well. Private being the first one to fall in there, and it will be followed up by Red Wolf. Is there going to be another one? Jay, you better not look around, because Hubby Muffin and Internet are holding things down, almost bringing Internet down just to 4 or 10 HP. But they can't get anything done with that save round. Gonna be able to come back, though, potentially, on this buy.
I love the statement that Nova is making here. I mean, round to round, I think they've only lost 1 player maximum as they've played through the first 4 rounds of this. So that's put them in a great position economically. Even if they lose 2 rounds, they're still going to be in a great position buy-wise. And it's kind of forced Iona to rethink about how they're going about utility, nades and all that kind of stuff. And they keep losing these battles in mid where, we're 20 seconds into the first round and most of Nova has less than 50 health. Or sorry, Iona.
Managed to get some damage out onto Nova, but it won't be enough. They're trading just unfortunate scenarios, and I think an issue right now, while they're trying to make their way up into mid through that connector position, which will be protected by Internet, at least for now, but they're going to be pushing on through. Reshiram falls in jungle, and now there's going to be a rotation or hold of CT. Finally, Iona has site control, but Connor isn't going to let them expand out off of that, so they have to get that bomb down, and they will. But Internet coming through turns it all into a 1v3. Internet, again, shuts it down. Now Villanova up 5-0.
That was probably the best round that we've seen Iona by far, at least in terms of their ability to complete objectives. Obviously, that's the first time that they got the bomb down. We see the timeout coming as I feel like they're still trying to work on that reset from that first round, just having an issue. So I'm interested to see what adjustments they're going to make and how they're going to think through the next 3 rounds, probably, because realistically, with a lot of difficulties, we'll say, and not a lot of economic freedom in terms of where they've come out from it, they really have to start thinking about how are they attacking each site. Are they going to try to move more towards one site? Because we've seen over the last 3 rounds, they tried B, that didn't quite work. They tried A, same result. And then when they were in mid, they were getting more damage down, and they were getting some of those picks that ultimately let them get to that bomb plant. But they're still just being chunked out by Nova's aggression, by the connector player as well as the window player. So they need to be able to kind of understand, I think, probably that Internet is playing in that connector position, and that it's going to be a real problem if they're trying to go CAD or underneath. And they'll need to neutralize him if they have a chance of really making a run at either bomb site and holding it down.
There needs to be a diversification in Iona's split. They're all going into one position, and Nova always has those angles covered. If they can create some sort of distraction on mid or on B to get them to think otherwise, that they aren't fully stacked into one position, maybe then it could work out. But we're not going to see that quite yet, as 4 players are stacked up in A main, as 1 player, that being Connor, is up in Palace looking to make something happen, but they're going to take it very slow.
And another point on all that that's really worth talking about is the fact that because of the economic position that Iona has been in, they're coming into these sites with less than ideal utility, whether they're dealing about the initial execute or the post plant, where because of Villanova just continuing to pick off these rounds, they've got plenty of utility and the rotates are fast enough for them to make a huge impact. This is one of those really tough fights through those smoke walls that just never seems to end.
It started out looking good for Iona, and it might continue to be that way. A 3v3 Kwanye back in CT, looking to make that retake from Fox, but Connor and Private Bean are holding it down. Kwanye is the last one alive. They haven't considered the plan yet, but a nice double spray down, turning into a 3K for Kwanye. 3 headshots in a row. Keep Nova on that perfect score for now. Kwanye going huge for his team.
And what a huge statement that is. That is the best chance that Iona has had at taking a round. And when you end up in a 3v1 like that, you can't give that up. There's especially when you're already looking at, going 5 rounds without a win and starting out, especially on your map pick. Like you don't want to be in a position where you're in going into that second map down quite a few rounds in an uncomfortable position. And it really starts with just kind of calming those nerves and expecting that they're going to do these kinds of pushes, that they're going to play around the smokes, and they're going to make life really difficult from every position. Because most of the players on Nova, like we talk a lot about Internet, who right now their top fragger week to week has been, kind of the loudest in terms of their impact. But that isn't to take away from the fact that the rest of the players can make insane plays with basically any tool in their position, as Internet is trying to make that statement earlier on in this round, pushing through CT or T side.
Well, that won't make too much of an impact because Kwanye and Tubby Muffin are hanging out over in apartments, stopping this push from making it onto site. And still, they're getting stuck in apartments, not able to get themselves out of that situation. They're being pinched, but it was Internet who bit them in the back just a little bit, but ran back to hold down by Ticket Booth if they decide to make that rotation, which it does seem to be so. Private Bean will make that solo push out to Connector, and all by themselves is Connor. Still hanging out in apartments, perhaps looking to save that rifle?
It wouldn't be a bad decision if that was the case, although it might just be that he's hoping to get enough rotates off of the Beast site that he can sneak in and maybe grab a couple frags. Right now, there is a lot of attention more towards the A site, so it looks like he's just going to save. And I think you're absolutely right about what you mentioned. They just kind of got stuck in apartments there. They kind of lost what their overall direction was in that round. And I think the way that they need to address this, you mentioned it earlier, diversify their approach to each bomb site. You saw it a little bit in their success on A site, where they had, a couple players towards ramp. They had Connor in Palace with the op. He got them on site. They did a really great job of the execute with the smokes there, and ultimately just lost to the balls out play from Kwanye, just making sure that he was putting on his best Stewie 2K pants. So I think if they can start to figure some of that out, maybe get a little bit more pressure towards mid, which has been absent for the last several rounds, they'll be able to see a little bit more of this favoring angles for them.
Smoke's out, but nothing done yet with their push onto A. Smoked off staircase. No angle from jungle on that counter palace off, but now we might see a good execute. The flashbang's out. I don't think it hit its mark, but it's going to be enough to find anyone who is on site. Sci-Fi Crab hanging out by Ticket Booth might make a move just soon because Connor's the first one to take one out from Palace. And now it will be a trade for trade, a tit for tat, going in the favor of Nova. Connor still holding it down up from Palace. If Tubby Muffin wants to make that peek from staircase, he might face a worse fate than he was planning. And somehow, Private Bean and Squad are taking it down. Tubby Muffin, though, doesn't decide to take that high angle and swings around, picks up 2, and just cuts down their attack. I think they're just going too slow here right now, Viking.
I think that's the story of the last several rounds, at least. We saw that as we were talking about them getting stuck in apartments in round 7. So the challenge that they're running into, I think, is they're not quite fully prepared for the early success. It kind of seems, they're getting some of those picks, or they're finding a position where, they're maybe like 5 or 6 seconds into an aggression onto a site, but they know that the rotation's coming from the other side, and they're not really sure whether they want to push on that aggression or not. So I'd like to see a little bit more decisiveness out of that, because it is going to make the difference in whether they're going to come through or not.
2 picked up by Internet as they were crossing out from tunnel. 1 at top mid. Connor, who has gotten some tags in onto the enemy, and now Private Bean coming out of the tunnel manages to pick one up for Iona, and that was an obvious, I believe, but it probably that's going to be recovered, and just a little bit of damage to that economy, but it is booming on the side of Nova.
Yeah, they've certainly got all of the numbers in their advantage, whether we're talking about the the leaderboard in terms of KDA, or if we're looking at obviously the round wins itself. So this half is going very well for Villanova. They're really shutting down from the comfort position of CT, and Iona is still struggling to find that magical round strategy that's going to deliver them more than a 3K.
Yeah, this is a difficult position. Rusharam hasn't even died yet in this game, so this is going to be something you want to take care of. Sci-Fi Crab swinging out of the smoke, picking up that Red Wolf frag, and now they're just hanging out. They're chilling. There has been a pushover onto site by Iona. They do have site the position, but I wouldn't say they fully have control yet. Finally, a bomb plant, I believe the second one of this game, has gone down. Swinging out, trying to take out Crab. They managed to get it through a trade, and now it's a 3v3, an equal matchup. Two players will make their way out from CT. Snavana picks up one and is able to save their life. Move back by Ticket Booth. You saw two. Why would you turn around? An internet out from Nectar turns it into a 1v2. Connor, last one alive, sends it the flash up, banging off the wall. And swings out, but is destroyed by internet from the top staircase, and they do have enough time to get that defusal.
Plenty, yeah. Certainly at the point in the game where Villanova doesn't have kits, they deserve to lose that round.
I did see Crab not have a kit at the beginning of that round.
Shame on them. Well, that's, to be fair, I guess he's the lowest dollar amount on his team. I don't think that's an excuse. Not when you're still sitting above $1,000 a piece at a minimum.
They still don't have it.
So, well, you know, I guess that maybe that'll be what brings it back for Iona. But that was a tough round. I mean, it was a great kill by Red Wolf to kind of set the tone for the first round. This is exactly the kind of thing that they needed to see in literally every round before that. They've just been hitting these situations where no one's able to get these kills, but good gracious, Red Wolf. Red
Wolf really showing up right there, picking up three, exactly what they needed, turning this into their favor. And we have Snavana all the way in CT spawn. He's waiting for that rotation. A great positioning, a great feint out onto B side, but you got to be careful. Kwame was swinging around that corner from Arches. Might have caught someone moving through connector. But this is a pretty good situation Iona has found themselves in.
Looks like Nova's got the save call coming out, which, you know, they're not hurting for money, so if they really wanted to hunt for it, they could. But, you know, with the time on the clock, the number of players alive, that certainly is not really the best choice, I guess, although they have had several 3Ks come out in the previous round, so who knows. But in any case, they're going to save in apartments, they're going to hang out, make some waffles in the kitchen, and set up for round 12. Iona now with the first on the board.
Serve me up some of those waffles, and a side of Iona finally making their debut here on the scoreboard, like you said. And I think it would have been actually useful for Nova to go out and hunt for those frags, because it was going to hurt the economy of Iona way more than it would hurt that of Nova if they ended up losing those weapons.
Very true. They at least have a little bit of breathing room now, and by that I mean they've got a little bit of more economic freedom if they end up in a bad position going into the next one. But as we get into round 12, you kind of have these tough choices as you get towards the end of it, where if you lose too many rounds, you're in a really poor position going into like round 14 and 15. And Internet's already making that a difficult place for them to be. And Iona, sensing that that's happening, is turning tail and heading back towards the other side.
Not a bad move, recognizing that things aren't a most favorable position over onto A, but we do have a lurker. We do have Snavana still hanging out there, still creating a presence potentially if they decide to catch someone out of position. That smoke is going to let them know that there are still players there, and this spread out across the map positioning, I think, is going to be solid if Private Bean is able to secure that kill onto Kwanye. This could be huge, but he's looking the wrong way. You gotta check your corners, and he doesn't. And Kwanye West opens it up. Che, however, there for the trade. Now this is a bad scenario out for Iona. The jig is up. They know where they are. Che falls down to internet. The bomb's all alone waiting for a carrier. And Snavana still back in T-spawn.
Going back to the bad habits of some of the earlier rounds, unfortunately, in this case, I think what really worked for them in that last round, other than, you know, Red Wolf putting everybody in their backpack, taking a trip down mid and getting a 3K on the way, is the fact that they had, as we've been talking about, a better diversity of approach to both bomb site, showing a presence in multiple areas, and obviously being able to execute on some of those just straight gunfights. So with, you know, 3 rounds left as they go into round 13, they're going to have to do something like that, because if Snavana, buddy. Luckily, he still has money to buy into it, but that was an expensive loss when you drop a Krieg.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a much bigger investment, but definitely, certainly a bigger investment than a standard AK, and that's not something you want to peek down mid after the round is over, so... Sharam still hanging out here with the op, does get the first one onto Red Wolf. Connor looking to make that payback, and it's actually Snavana with a good one tap. Now it's equalized, but they're going to continue their way down mid, and I think aggression is the way to go for this squad. Iona certainly making a case for themselves here in round 13.
And I really like from Nova that as we're seeing this aggression towards mid, their answer to it is, basically just a lot of people having each other's backs and making sure that if, they lose somebody on cat, you've got internet pushing through connector, or if you've got somebody lost in window, you've got both in cat pushing up for that. And that's obviously served them very well over the last 12 rounds. And so now, as Iona has kind of traded places with Nova in terms of their presence on the site, they're able to come in and get a bomb down. But we do have internet kind of sneaking through Palace now that could ultimately be the game changer for this particular round.
Sci-Fi Crab taking too big of a peek out by Ticket Booth is going to make it a little bit easier for Iona. We do have one player over in Market looking to have a 3-prong attack right now. If internet... Oh! Maybe cut that down to a 2-prong. Connor is not playing around with that op. But now the cover's been blown. Internet revealed in Palace and is quickly struck down. 2 players still remain on Iona. I don't think there's any chance that Nova walks out with this one.
No, but will there be... Oh, no, Connor. It could have been a lot less expensive, that's for sure, on the T side. But it's good to have that second round because, they're going to come into the T side, or the CT side, excuse me, and that can be a little bit more comfortable because you don't have to worry so much about dealing with some of these brick walls that they're running into currently. So, if they can get 4 rounds, it's not great, but it certainly puts them in a position where if they take pistol round, they can make this a 7-11 scoreline before long.
4 rounds is better than 2 rounds, Viking. I think that's for sure.
I'm going to put that in my calculator, but I think the math works out on that.
Well, let's see if the math equation works out here as they try to make out of A main, getting caught by Tetris. No. Internet picking up quite a few until Savannah turns that one around, but now it's a 2v4. They haven't gotten much ground at all. Connor doing some good work on that offense. Savannah backing it up, and now this just became a lot more doable as a 2v2.
It's exactly the kind of wake up that I think we were hoping for in all of the previous rounds where, being able to make the best out of a not great situation is great, but that nade could do so much damage. Oh boy.
Oh, Kwanye following up with that nade is huge, but now Connor's still doing serious work on the up, and he gets another one, and Iona picks up their 3rd round. That was great. We needed that for the entire first half of this map. Where has this been?
I think that just, speaks to the scarcity of the rounds that they're winning, and they're coming in such these pivotal moments. Like, you think back to their first round win with Red Wolf and mid, like, without that 3K, that round probably would not have gone their way. So this kind of individual parts of a machine moving independently are kind of forcing them across that finish line. But unlike Nova, where we see a lot more of that kind of easy rotations and a lot more impact, especially from internet, now at 22 kills, has made a really big difference in contrast in terms of their wins. But as I say, that internet whiffs a nade that could have made a big impact to Savannah. So maybe, who knows? Maybe that's an omen for things to come.
Flash coming out on connector. Savannah, she is unable to get that kill in jungle, and internet walks away with their lives and comes out for a 2nd, almost a 3rd, but it won't be enough. However, Sci-Fi Crab hit with that cross angle and dark to just keep things under control over here for Nova.
It's going to take a really heroic individual effort, both from Connor and Red Wolf. Obviously, both of them individually have had some pretty wild moments, but they're facing this 2v4 with only 40 seconds left on the clock, and that loss of 1 is going to be a very, very tall order to even try to make it out of this alive.
Ooh, Connor with the nice quick scope. Can we get 4 more? That is the hope here, but there's 2 players right around the corner waiting. The double stack is there, and no, the flick is not good. Kanye West puts it down. First half, Villanova up 12-3.
It's going to be a mountain to climb. There's no doubt about that, but it is possible. I think we've seen in previous games, in previous weeks, that even with such dire score lines, there has been the opportunity to claw each of those rounds back, starting with a pistol round. But if we're in a situation where they lose this one, it's going to be, we'll say, go from maybe like an 80% win chance for Nova to probably like a 95%. And that is not where Iona wants to be coming out of their map pick.
I mean, you are the wise sage of predictions. The pickers are losers based off of this trend, right? Pick their map, lose their map, and I guess that's just how it goes. You guys just beat your opponent's map, and that's it. But finally, Nova making their way out onto A site in a fury with smokes all around. No one knows where they're coming from, and jumping right into backside. Internet Sci-Fi Crab all the way into CT, and looks like they're gonna wrap around to try and trap Iona in jungle and connector. But Private Bean was hoping to put that down. It's all up to Red Wolf now in this 1v4 with 13 HP and a dream. Finds one, might be able to find two because the rest of Nova is in a horrible situation in terms of HP, but the bomb is down. The chances and hopes are down as well. I mean, might be doable. We all know that pros don't fake, but unfortunately, it's taken out before he could get that defusal in. Pros don't fake, but unfortunately, they're more professional with guns.
It was a very noble effort. I think he got them to where they ultimately were hoping to be position-wise kind of midway through there. But ultimately, you know, when you saw all of Nova going into the CT spawn and you start to lose some of those 1v1s elsewhere, it just, you know, continues to, you know, see that chances of winning shift to the other side.
Savannah tries to leg one of the players. I believe she does get Tubby Muffin. But we'll back up. Allow them to take control of mid. As fighting that battle, probably not in their best interest if you want to play for your life. Red Wolf doing the same. Oh, I think he actually got pegged with that nade.
That's a little discouraging, but hey, it happens, right? You know, who hasn't thrown a little bit of ordnance into one place and just, you know, smack somebody's face with it?
It's a little bit, but Kanye West is hurting him even more, taking out Shay on the other side of the map as Internet is being a nuisance on A site, but that's not even where the bomb is. It's all the way over on B.
This is not where Red Wolf wants to be, and certainly not where Iona is. And this is, again, you know, the outcome of this round. He doesn't know where the bomb is. Oh, no. That's a lot of time that's going to be wasted if he is able to go for it. But I think that Nova's setting up that trap on expecting the CT push.
And the Force won't look too good picking up those 2 scouts. And being put in a situation like this might be able to get something out of it, though. Oh, it is not the case. A large investment to no avail. And now Iona finds himself in an even worse position here on round 18.
It would not be unreasonable for their focus to shift instead of to winning this map to just crawling back as many rounds as they possibly can. Obviously, a win is the ideal, but when you're looking at a 14-3 score line, that's a pretty tall ask. So my advice to them, or my hope anyways, is they're talking about their comms is try to make them as expensive as possible, make them as challenging as possible. And because in this league, because we run everything as a best of 2, the maps are the most important thing, immediately followed by rounds in the standing. So Iona right now with just over 55% of their rounds won, again puts them in that higher mid tier. But with a substantial loss like we're starting to see here, that's not a great opportunity for them in terms of their week-to-week standings.
Nice one deep by Connor, hanging out in dark, but it will be punished severely by the rest of the Nova crew. Players left on the side of Iona, just looking to get some damage in, just looking to put that USB to work, potentially take the guns out of the hands of Nova, but that will not be the case. Internet locks it down. Nova on map point.
with very limited options on the CT side. They will have rifles, proper rifles for the first time, but very limited utilities. You just see a couple flashes and some smokes out there. So in terms of their counter ability in the early pushes, going to be pretty rough. And as we've seen before, we'll probably see Nova kind of push up through this mid area. Connor missing that shot is going to be a huge problem for the amount of players that are up at that top mid position.
Ooh, a good pick though from Connor, and that Molly won't make a difference in his position, so they're holding it down, but they're actually running it up. Catwalking. We have Jay here to pick up one. Will be traded out, but that's still a good scenario. It's favorable for them. Pressure Ram get a little crazy, holding up in ladder room with the op, and now this is actually an opportunity for Iona to come back. The bomb will go down for Nova, but Private Bean hanging out in apartments picks up one, might be able to get a second. They're being on that crossfire, and actually, Iona comes out and takes them all down. Iona finally earns themselves a crucial round, and that's going to actually hurt the economy of Nova. Wait, internet actually has 7K, so maybe not as bad as I thought.
Definitely enough to probably buy back here with maybe a little bit less utility than they would appreciate, but coincidentally, I suppose we see Nova taking their first time out of the series, maybe to talk about how they're just going to close it out, or maybe they just, taking a break, trying to calm the nerves after we saw Iona a little bit on edge as we were watching that last player there, just, constantly looking for the ghost of Villanova's last person.
Yeah, the round wasn't over for them. Not yet. Not yet.
Every round counts. Can't ever let yourself go. You got to kill the spirit as well as the players.
The spirit of the enemy team, and maybe that has actually taken a hit, forcing Villanova to take a timeout. And they're like, wait a minute. Did we just lose that round? Because they had such a major advantage going up on mid that they lost control by letting Connor survive that molly and take the initial pick long range.
It seems pretty well, at least, using that single round as our only data point, really, that if Connor is able to continue to make that impact out of the mid window with the op and just keep them from controlling that mid area where they have all that flexibility to try all these different strategies, and that puts Nova in a position where, similarly to what we saw from Iona, they've got to really commit to just sort of one side or the other. And you see a little bit of what I would have expected out of Iona in that first round, but unfortunately they're just getting punished for some of this early aggression, which, if I'm them, I know we're on map point still. You want to be as conservative as possible because every person, every body that you have on site is a huge thing, and that is a huge through the smoke kill from Connor.
That was, the timing was perfect. We saw the X-ray, and I thought, there's no way he's going to pull the trigger at that moment, and he did. A great timing out from Connor, and this is still a winnable round. We do have Tubby Muffin on death's door. They make a good play, a good case. Oh, interesting flash. I actually like that. I dig that one.
Yeah, I should be doing that. Ooh, Che. All right.
This is still possible out here for Iona. All of them buy ticket booth, but they gotta make a move soon. They gotta clear out sight. There's players just dancing around on sight, and pressure him and Tubby Muffin. The blink of an eye, take out both players on the side of Iona, and Villanova takes map 1 16-4. Viking, this isn't looking too good for Iona right now.
No, it is not. That is a very fair statement across the board, where we see, Connor, who really tried hard to make a difference wherever he could, is sitting at 14K compared to Internet's, almost 30 bomb there. So, while that kills obviously are not everything, it certainly tells a story about what we saw across the board in that match.